Souls and Souls-like games are intimidating as f***. Every time I saw one of these games or watched someone play it, I saw this.
Why do people like these f***ing games again, dude?
So for a long time, I was terrified to play any of the big hitters in this category. That is, until I played one game. 2022's Elden Ring, a game from Software, the very studio that spawned this entire subgenre of harsh role-playing games with the release of Demon Souls and Dark Souls. A subgenre with the reputation of causing controller smashing frustration due to the steep learning curves, the lack of difficulty options or assists, and the, oh god, what is that? I felt there was no way FromSoft's biggest, most ambitious title could also be a great entry point into the genre. This had to be the hardest one, and don't get me wrong, it is hard, but it's also the one that helped me get it. Why is that? What is it about the Lands Between that helped me overcome my fear of failure and avoid my fear of missing out on another Souls game? And how can my experience help you with the same? First, I want you to take bad out of your vocabulary, because chances are you aren't bad at Souls games, you're just impatient. Second, I want you to change your name to Pete, unless it already is. Long before Elden Ring even had a solid release date, I'd made the decision that I would experience it secondhand by watching my favorite streamer, Kinda Funny's Andy Cortez, when he inevitably streamed it for his community. That plan got altered when I was asked to work on GameSpot's coverage of Elden Ring. Now terrified that I would let the team down, and with no pre-release guides to help me out, I clung to something that Andy had said in numerous Twitch streams. Be patient, Pete.
This part, I'm gonna be just so patient with right here. I'm gonna be the most patient gamer you've ever seen in the world, dude. Patient Pete. Twitch.tv/Patient Pete.
Practicing patience is easier said than done. I know, but trust me, it is the foundation to getting better at games like Elden Ring. Because let's face it, most of us have been spoiled by modern gaming. In the early days of the art form, players dealt with health pickups scattered around the level and complete resets upon death. It wasn't until the early to mid 2000s that regenerating health became a standard for action games and first-person shooters. This was around the time that my gaming habits started to take off, and I got really comfortable with the near infinite pools of health and the convenient checkpoints. So going back to potions and pickups, it just felt like a hassle. However, Elden Ring taught me that it becomes slightly less of a hassle if I just slow down, keep out of the enemy's reach, and patiently wait for a good opportunity to strike. Even the easiest of foes can take off an annoying amount of health if you just go into an encounter swinging your sword around like a madman. So ignore your urge to button mash your way to victory. Wait for an opening, strike, move away, and then wait again. But don't just stare off into space. Really watch what your opponent is doing, because they love to do the same things over and over again. Think about it kind of like you're trying to have a good conversation. You want to listen to what the other person is saying instead of just thinking about what you want to say next. It's a combat conversation, a conversation. So using that patience that you've been practicing, you're gonna take a moment to let your enemy speak. Really take in everything they're saying without thinking too much about what you wanna say with your sword. Then, when you notice a natural pause in the conversation/battle, reply with an amazing follow-up question, aka a weapon to their face. As an introvert, I tend to do this naturally, observing and taking in my surroundings before I speak or take action. Yet somehow, this took forever to carry over into the digital world. I knew that enemies in games ran on loops of actions, and if you didn't, well, you're welcome. But thanks to the forgiving nature of modern gaming, I never cared to learn those patterns. But when it finally clicked, it changed the way I played games.
And actually, the game responsible for this was Death's Door.
God, I love this game. The art, the characters, the music. Sorry, this is an Elden Ring video. Gotta stay focused. No adorable crow talk. For now.
Something else that helped me make the transition to a character move studying guy was my past experience with music production. The baddies in Souls games tend to drag out some of their moves, finally striking after a bit of a hesitative windup. As you watch them, time that windup, kinda like a drummer counting a metronome tick. 1, 2, 3, dodge, 1, 2, 3, attack.
So far, you've learned how to delay gratification, have a good conversation, play an instrument, and kinda dance. I'm gonna change my name to DeVante Miyagi. But jokes aside, I hope by this point in our chat you're feeling a little bit more confident in booting up Elden Ring. And if not, let me tell you about the most powerful ability that you get right out the gate. Free will. One of my primary reasons for being intimidated by the Souls games was my belief that if I bought one, I'd be wasting money.
I would envision making the purchase, getting stuck at an early boss, and being filled with the buyer's remorse as I stared at all of the games I could have played and actually beaten instead. The open world nature of Elden Ring instantly made that fear invalid, because if a challenge proved too hard, I could just run away and do something else. Elden Ring is packed with things to see, collect, and fight. So instead of slamming your head into a wall, you can just take a different path. No one will know that you ran away from the enemy and didn't return to it for another 10 hours of gameplay.
Unless, of course, you are streaming your playthrough to an active community of viewers. That's a level of intimidation I can't help you with.
And yeah, sure. Sometimes the enemies you bump into on that different path might still be a bit of a headache, but that's okay. Just pick another direction to wander, or retread some ground and discover something you may have missed. Or you can experience the simple joy of bullying the enemies that once gave you a hard time. You've been packing on the experience points. You're bigger, stronger, faster, and they can't hurt you anymore. I mean, they can, just not as much. You outlevel them.
This goes hand in hand with what we just talked about. Use the open world to your advantage, farm enemies, explore every single corner until you reach a level where you can cut through those bosses like butter.
Take on the mini bosses, and or just explore and be present with the adventure you're having. I mean, soak it all in, even though the lands between seems like it would smell of blood and decay everywhere you turn.
This is not a mistake. Your eyes are not playing tricks on you. This is so important, I'm saying it twice. Overlevel your damn character.
Elden Ring doesn't outright tell you what levels enemies are in each area, but you can get a sense of the scale by doing a quick Google search.
But regardless, whether the boss is major or mini, don't forget to call your friends. The real ones and the virtual ones.
Use the AI help to your advantage. Summon the spirit ashes, summon the NPCs, or literally call one of your friends and get a co-op session going. You've got options. And as far as the spirit ashes go, this jellyfish was very popular around launch, and I still use him today. I've named him Jeffrey. Jeffrey the Jelly. Some purists of the genre might consider this to be cheating, but it's a system that's built into the game, so...
Now, if you've reached this point and the thought of booting up Elden Ring is still making you shake in your boots, then you might want to play some other games with Souls-inspired combat that feature difficulty options.
Although many consider it to be a Souls-light instead of a full-fledged Souls-like, 2019's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was my first time dipping my toe into the world of Souls-inspired combat. Going in, I didn't realize just how similar it would be. Because of this, I struggled a bit. This is until I put my pride aside and lowered the difficulty, because unlike many games in the Souls-like genre, Fallen Order and its follow-up Survivor give you the option of choosing your level of challenge.
Souls-likes that offer different difficulties are a great low-stakes way to get used to how Souls games play.
And if you're not into Star Wars, Try games like the recent PS5 exclusive Stellar Blade, or the multi-platform Game Pass accessible Another Crab's Treasure. Stellar Blade features a story mode, and Another Crab's Treasure lets you tweak damage taken, the length of the dodge and parry window, and even lets you bring a gun to a knife fight.
Now, before I release you to the world, I've got one more idea.
It might also help you to play the game in a very calming location. For example, if you have a Steam Deck, you can take Elden Ring to your favorite spot in nature, or a coffee shop that you consider to be a quote, whole vibe, or just stay at home, but hide in a room that doesn't have other stressors like an infant crying. I swear, New Fatherhood is the toughest Souls-like I've ever played.
Well, I think you're ready. Go ahead and start an Elden Ring playthrough. But remember, it's okay to fail. It's okay to die a bunch of times and need a break. I still haven't beaten Elden Ring, even though it was my game of the year in 2022. But those 100 or so hours have brought me so much joy, and I want that for you too. So get out there, play it, do it. And if you want to watch any more videos about Elden Ring, don't worry. GameSpot has a bunch from when the game first launched all the way up to now with the Erd Tree DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC. Pretty satisfying to say. Thanks for watching.